Welcome back, everyone. My name is Patrick. You're watching the Oilers Fanatic. It's my round 2 preview. Edmonton Oilers, Vegas Golden Knights. We got Sing La Bamba on Saturday night as the Edmonton Oilers officially took out the Los Angeles Kings 4-2. And now I'm here to get you ready for round 2 between the Edmonton Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights. I will have 2 special guests joining me for this preview, Tyson from Dullany TV and Toff from Rig 72. But before I bring in the guests, let's take a look at my preview for the series that will see the number 1 overall pick from 2015, Connor McDavid, taking on the number 2 overall pick from 2015, Jack Eichel. Round 1 saw the Vegas Golden Knights take down the Winnipeg Jets in 5 games, and the Oilers take down the Los Angeles Kings in 6 games. The winner of the Oilers and Golden Knights series will face the winner of the Seattle Kraken and Dallas Stars series in the Western Conference Finals. Here's a look at the current schedule information. We know for sure that games 1 and 2 will be Wednesday and Friday in Las Vegas, but other than that, nothing else has been officially announced as of this recording. Everything listed in orange is just a guess on my part, based on past series. Next up, let's take a look at the season series, featuring the 2 heavyweights of the Pacific, who are only separated by 2 points at the end of the year, with Vegas taking first place in the Pacific, and the Oilers coming in second. When all was said and done, the Oilers dominated the series going 3-0-1, but every game, aside from the final meeting, was a 1-goal game. The Oilers won on November 19th, 2022, 4-3 in overtime. The Oilers then took down the Knights on January 14th, 2023, 4-3 in regulation. On March 25th, 2023, the Golden Knights picked up their lone win, 4-3 in overtime. And on March 28th, 2023, the Oilers picked up the big win, taking down Vegas 7-4. In goal, for the Oilers, Stuart Skinner finished round 1 with a 3.43 goals against average and an .890 save percentage. The Vegas Golden Knights went with former Oiler Laurent Brossoit in goal. He finished the series against the Winnipeg Jets with a 2.42 goals against average and a .915 save percentage. Jack Campbell ended up taking over for Skinner in Game 4 after a rough start, and it's possible we see him again at some point in round 2. Campbell had a 1.18 goals against average and a .964 save percentage in his short body of work in Game 4. I'm not sure who Vegas would turn to if Brossoit leaves the net, but Jonathan Quick, Adin Hill, or Logan Thompson are all possibilities. If this is your first visit to the channel, or if you haven't had a chance to do so in a previous visit, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. Looking at team stats, for the Golden Knights, Chandler Stevenson and Mark Stone led the way in round 1, picking up 8 points each. Jack Eichel had 3 goals and 2 assists, and William Karlsson and Alex Pietrangelo also had a strong series, picking up 5 points each. They will be looking for more from throughout their lineup, though, to match the Oilers' depth. For the Oilers, the MVP was undoubtedly Leon Draisaitl, picking up 7 goals and 4 assists for 11 points in round 1. However, for everyone who thought Connor McDavid had a quiet series, he was just behind Leon with 10 points. Evan Bouchard also broke out in round 1, tying Connor with 10 points. It was definitely a group effort for the Oil, though. Kane, Costin, Hyman, Ekholm, and Nuge all added 4 points and contributed some key goals along the way. Overall, 18 different Oilers contributed to the offense. Behind the bench, Jay Woodcroft will take on Bruce Cassidy for the first time. Woodcroft has enjoyed massive success since taking over as head coach, leading the Oilers to their second straight second-round appearance. Bruce Cassidy stepped behind the bench for the Golden Knights last summer and brought them storming back into the playoffs after missing out last spring. Vegas took first place in the Pacific and first overall in the Western Conference. On the injury front, goaltender Logan Thompson is day-to-day for Vegas, with Nolan Patrick and Robin Lehner out long-term. Braden McNabb was out day-to-day, but should be good to go for round 2. For the Oilers, Matthias Janmark missed almost all of round 1, but is expected back for round 2. We know there are bumps and bruises on both sides, but everyone else remains in the lineup. I selected Nick Bjugstad as my surprise playoff performer in round 1, and he did come up big, collecting 2 goals in the series. After missing most of round 1, I'm picking Matthias Janmark as my surprise performer in round 2. I think he'll have a strong series against his former team. He's been a key contributor for the Oilers all season. And lastly, my prediction. The Vegas Golden Knights were the best in the West in the regular season and took down Winnipeg in 5 games in round 1. The Oilers performed well in the season series, going 3-0-1, but this one will be a battle of 2 heavyweights. If the Oilers' strong power play can continue at its 56.3% success rate, it will go a long way in making the difference. I'm going with the Oilers taking down Vegas in 6 games. That's my look, guys. Let's bring in our guests and get their thoughts. All right, and we are back with Tyson for our round 2 preview, Oilers Golden Knights. Tyson, welcome back in. Thanks again for joining us.
Hey, thank you for having me again. I think it was fun last time round, and I'm excited to see what kind of lightning round questions you got for me this time.
Sounds good. Well, let's get her started. What are your thoughts and takeaways from round 1 for the Oilers?
Well, after round 1, I think we can be much better. I think we both know that as this is not quite the Oilers team that I think we expected in round 1. That said, we've escaped round 1 with the series wins, so the takeaway is if that's good enough to win a round, ratchet it up a little bit more each series, and it should be good enough to take it the rest of the way. But that said, you got to win round 2 before you can win round 3, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, one round, one opponent at a time. Like, it's nice to think ahead, and I know we're both big believers in the ultimate final goal, but can't get too ahead of ourselves yet. Can't overlook any opponent along the way. Question number 2, which player or players surprised you in round 1?
I think the biggest surprise, and it shouldn't have been a surprise, but the biggest surprise for me was Evan Bouchard, right? He comes through with a series that I think only Paul Coffey has ever had before in NHL history. And it just kind of, right, okay, he had one really good game. Okay, he had another one. He had another one. He had another one. And it just keeps adding and adding and adding all series long for him. So that's what was the craziest part for me is I just really was blown away by what Evan Bouchard did game in, game out as the series wore on. And of course, this is the guy that we were wondering if he was good enough to be in this moment prior to Matthias Ekholm coming around.
Yeah, I might have to double check this, but I'm pretty sure he was tied with Connor McDavid for points in round 1.
Yes.
So, yeah, Evan Bouchard did okay. Question number 3, how do you think the Oilers compare against the Vegas Golden Knights?
Well, this is, I know when we were queuing this whole thing up, you and I were going back and forth, like, what's our actual realistic expectations? What have you heard out there after less than 24 hours since clinching round number 1? And I think the biggest thing for me is I expect the Oilers to win, and that means we are better than the Vegas Golden Knights. But again, as it came to with the LA series, how much better is the question, and as much as I think the Oilers compare very well against the Golden Knights, it's going to be a battle. I think what I told you is a true battle of the crease this series for the Oilers. So when I think about comparing these two teams is whoever has the better goalie is who's going to come out on top. And that's not saying Skinner's better or Brossoit's better or worse or either any of that. It is literally when you come down to making this comparison, look in net, and that's where you're going to really find the telltale signs of how this series might end up, how it will go, and how it finishes.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the regular season stats, the Oilers 3-0-1, but we all know regular season, just ask the Boston Bruins, doesn't mean a whole lot come playoff time.
It took you to question 3 to get in there. I knew you were going to get it in at some point, but it took you to question 3. I appreciate that. I love that that worked in here somehow. I was going to work it in, but I appreciate that it's you that did it and it's not me. So that's fantastic. But yeah, no, that's exactly it. Regular season means nothing. So yeah, what I love to say, well, the Oilers got points in 4 of 4 games against the Golden Knights. That's fantastic. We should be able to roll them. As much as I think the Oilers will win the Cup, I'm not on the board to roll the Vegas Golden Knights in 4 or 5 games like I was in the LA series. Maybe less than 4.
I mean, you look at those games, 4-3, 4-3, 4-3. The only one the Oilers won convincingly was the last one, 7-4. So yeah, 3 out of 4 wins, but only by 1 single goal. So it was a close season series for sure. So question number 4, who do you think steps up in round 2 for the Oilers?
I think in round 2 it really comes down to working back in Matthias Janmark, right? And I think the question isn't how does that necessarily diminish someone else's role. I just think how does that change the combinations? 12-6 for the Oilers is what we've heard likely to happen today. So with Matthias Janmark coming back in, who do I think comes out and surprises for the Oilers in round two or does really well for us? Is I guess yeah, I actually don't have an answer to that question. I know you sent over the questions earlier today, and I actually didn't have a proper answer for it. I used Matthias Janmark last time. I bring him up now because he changes how things look. But I think, and I just as a hoper and a dreamer here, I hope Kyler Yamamoto.
There you go. Yeah, I picked Matthias Janmark actually for round two just because he's got the rest. He's coming in. He's playing his former team. But we'll see what happens. Yeah, he's had an impact. Yamamoto, obviously, huge impact in Game 6, the big 5-4 series-winning goal. So, yeah, two guys that can hopefully step up for the Oilers in round two here. They're going to need a total team effort like they had against the Kings. And question number 5 to wrap up. Who wins the series and in how many games?
It's really an obvious answer for somebody that sits here and says the Oilers are going to win the Stanley Cup. Sorry, spoiler alert, I guess, on my answer. Oilers in 6. You want to argue it? Well, everyone wanted to argue Oilers in 5. We won in 6 against the Kings, so I'll take Oilers in 6 over the Golden Knights and call it a day here. We'll take the extra 2 days rest and get on to, hopefully, the third round of the playoffs for the second year in a row.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going with 6 as well. I just asked the question. I mean, it's an Oilers show. We're all going to pick the Oilers, but
I hope.
want to. Yeah, I hope. Yeah, but I want to put the option out there. I don't want to just assume it's going to be the Oilers. So give you guys the option to pick. I mean, if you pick against the Oilers, I'm not going to let you back on ever again. But
I don't think I'm going to have very good live streams or any really good shows the rest of the way home if I pick against the Oilers.
Well, that's a wrap, Tyson. Thanks again for joining us, everybody. And hopefully we're doing this again in a week and a half for round 3.
I think May 10th sounds like a good time to get this back underway.
Hey, sounds good to me. Welcome back, everybody, to our round 2 preview. Oilers Golden Knights, joined once again by Toff, my partner from the Rig 72 live streams. Welcome back, Toff.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, as we did for our round 1 preview versus the Kings, going to ask Toff 5 questions and get his thoughts on the upcoming series with the Golden Knights. So, question number 1, Toff. What are your thoughts and takeaways from round 1 for the Oilers?
So, the big thing that I hope everyone saw was that the Oilers are good, basically top to bottom. They have a lot more depth than a lot of people give them credit for. Still, even really good hockey commentators are like, well, McDavid and Draisaitl, you never know. And like, yeah, they're good, and you never know. But also, there's a whole team behind them that is pouring it on. And I think one of the less heartening things is that our D is just still really sloppy sometimes. And the frustrating bit is that we know that they can be good because we've seen them do good. And sometimes we'll see them do good and then literally the next rush, they just completely blow it. And I don't know how they can fix that, really. It's not a personnel problem, really. It's a positioning, a work problem or something. And, I mean, some people do call them out for dogging it on the defensive end, but I don't know that it's that either. I think it's just that they don't quite know where everybody else is going to be. And so they make best guesses at where they should be. And sometimes, and more often than we'd like, that best guess is not a good guess at all.
Which player or players surprised you in round 1?
So I went back and I watched our round 1 preview to see what I said. And I predicted that Bush would be the big surprise for Oilers fans. And I think that played out. But I also predicted Nuge and Hyman as possible other ones. That did not happen. So I'm really happy to see that Bush really does know what he's doing now, and he definitely knows what his role is, and that wasn't super surprising to me because yeah, I predicted him to be the surprise, but it's really heartening, and I really like that. Yeah, that wasn't a surprise. The other one, like I think Skinner's doing much better than people are giving him credit for. Um, all the other previews that I've watched so far are like they need better goaltending. He has been very solid. He hasn't stolen a game, but he's been very solid. And sometimes solid is all you need. And when you have a team in front of him like the Oilers do, solid is good enough. And if he can steal one or two across the next couple of rounds, that's just cream on top of the pie, right?
And Zach Hyman, you were mentioning, didn't make much of a difference, but he did get that big overtime winning goal. And
He did.
4 points in the series. He might not have been a huge difference maker, but he made an impact for sure.
Yeah.
So, question number 3: how do you think the Oilers compare against the Vegas Golden Knights?
So, I will admit that I have not watched as many Knights games as I probably should have. But the Oil are 3-1 against them this season, which yes, regular season doesn't count, but it does set some expectations. Stone is back, which is a little bit worrying, especially since Stone has apparently found his game. But the difference between the Oilers and the Jets as an opponent for the Golden Knights does not favor the Golden Knights. It may come down to goaltending because Brossoit is playing out of his mind right now. But also remember that Brossoit had played like 11 games before the playoffs. And the Oilers figured out Korpisalo. And if they can figure out Brossoit, I don't know how the Golden Knights could possibly win. It really will come down to special teams. And if the Golden Knights can stay out of the box, they have a chance.
Question number 4: who do you think steps up in round 2 for the Oilers?
I really hope it's Nuge. I really hope Nuge gets it going. I think that the reason why Nuge has been quiet is because of the role he's playing, rather than anything wrong with Nuge. It's the same with McDavid. Why has McDavid been so quiet? That was a conversation piece throughout the first round. It was because that wasn't his job. His job at that moment was to essentially give space so that the other guys could do it, and make sure that they always had to have their top D-man out there against him, which is part of how we got all the depth scoring. Was they could not keep their top lines on all the time. And with the minutes that McDavid pulls and with the way that he just wears people down, that was his role, especially in the first 3 games. And I think it's the same with Nuge once they adjusted the line so that he's on the wing on the second line with Bugstad centering. It's just his job is not to make the flashy play. His job is to make sure that line is as confusing as possible for the opposing team.
And just going back to McDavid too, he had 10 points in 6 games.
Yeah.
So 10 points in 6 games is bad. Well, I guess.
Right.
But so, yeah, like Draisaitl was their top guy, and he had 11 points. So McDavid was one behind the leader on the team for points. So, I mean, for what we know Connor and McDavid can do, yeah, okay, it's probably a bit quieter series, but 10 points in 6 games isn't too shabby. I was going to mention too earlier, the Oilers' crazy unbeaten streak in regulation continued in this series. They didn't lose in regulation in this series. They only lost in overtime. So that streak like that they had going through March and April, that continues in the playoffs here. So the Oilers just on an amazing run. They have not lost in regulation in the Stanley Cup playoffs so far. And last question for today: who wins the series and in how many games?
I'm going to go 6 this time around. Especially early on, I think the Oilers will have to figure out Bressois, and there's entirely a chance that officiating gives them one. So if Bressois can steal one and officiating can steal one, that's two for the Golden Knights. But I think that's all they're getting.
Yeah, I went with 6 as well on my preview. So, well, I think that's a wrap, Toff. Do you have any other final thoughts you want to add in before we head off?
I am really, really looking forward to this. I know that the narrative that everyone's going to be pushing is McDavid versus Eichel, which that's cool because we have a whole rest of the team that can beat the Golden Knights.
Yeah. The Oilers, what was the stat? I just said it earlier, 18 players with at least 1 point in that series for the Oilers. 18.
Yep.
So yeah, you go ahead, you try and shut down McDavid and Draisaitl. It's going to help you, but it's not going to stop the Oilers. So
Also, if they stay on the same line, you're definitely not going to shut them both down.
Exactly. Well, that's all for now, guys. Toff, thanks for joining us. Toff and I will be doing round 2 Rig 72 live stream, so join us. Looks like game 1 will be Wednesday in Vegas, so we will see you guys then. Well, that's my preview, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. Thank you again to Tyson and Toff for joining me for this preview. For those of you looking for Mike from round 1, he should be joining me for our round 3 preview, hopefully coming in about week and a half. We'll see what happens here with the Edmonton Oilers and Vegas Golden Knights. But like I said earlier, guys, if this is your first visit to the channel and you like what you see, please consider liking and subscribing for all the latest Oilers content. You've been watching the Oilers Fanatic. Thanks for being a fan. Toff and I will see you for the Rig 72 live stream on Wednesday. Take care, guys. See you soon.